Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Everybody's lives have value, Odin. That's the way I look at it. And as far as what I'm mad about as of late, I would say it's this alien disclosure taking eons. And but we're told there's light at the end of the tunnel as of recently, that with some new legislation that went through, that the clock is now ticking, that we have at the time of the signing 180 days, which should put a target date sometime in June for what we're being told, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be full disclosure on the alien topic. And that is going to be the discussion for tonight. Alien disclosure. So if you want to chime in, if you guys want to call into the Global Enlightenment Radio Network tonight, the phone lines are open. You can call in at 929-436-2866, or you can chime in at the Zoom meeting. The ID number is 522-657-2748. Again, the Zoom meeting ID is 522-657-2748, and the phone number is 929-436-2866. So let's jump right into what's going on with disclosure. A lot of folks have said that there's been cover-ups, conspiracies, aliens abroad, and everything under the sun 6 ways from Sunday, but nobody seems to be able to give the big picture, and that's what we're being told is coming. And my concern, my fear, is that we're not going to get the absolute truth. Lo and behold, surprise, surprise, we're not going to get the absolute truth is my fear. The idea being that they're going to give us like a limited hangout, so to say, that they'll give us a partial truth, and then under the guise of it being the total truth, but it'll still only be a fraction thereof. You know, if it turns out that, you know, we've had contact with 10,000 different alien species, they might say instead it's only been 10. You know, they'll throttle things down on what's actually going on is where I think it's going to be. I don't think they're going to tell us the entire truth at all. The amount of technology that they would have to roll out and the way that it would change everything. I mean, I'm hopeful. That's my ideal, is that they would tell us all of the truth. I just find it hard to believe that that's what's going to actually happen, that we can be, you know, turning the corner, so to say, right now, that we just so happen to be the privileged ones that are going to get everything that we should have been told all along. It just seems really hopeful. But I'm wondering what your guys' thoughts are on that this evening. So don't forget, chime in, give us a call. Check out the Global Enlightenment Radio Network and what we're about tonight. If you folks haven't been here before, my name is Eric Hecker, and I roll from YouTube as best I can. I got thrown off of Facebook, but I have a channel called Deciphering My Experience, both on YouTube and on MeWe. And if you want to know about more things where I come from and my background, you can check that stuff out. But tonight, we're talking about aliens and disclosure. So come pick my brain tonight. see where I've been, see what kind of things I could tell you. And if you have some stories or encounters, definitely let me know as well. If you have any paranormal experiences, things that are out of the ordinary, that you just want to throw your hat into the ring and make some connections, we can do that too. There was this week, I don't know if anybody noticed that Lieutenant General McInerney had basically made some qualifying statements that we were currently in the throes of World War III, of which I would completely agree. And the premise for which he put this on was that he said that this started when the former Soviet Republic and the Chinese started to mess with our communications grid and the technologies thereof. And there was a project known as Project Troy back in the 50s that was looking into this as well. And they understood that our power grid was being impacted and used against the American people. So technically, in a way, what Lieutenant General McInerney was saying was that World War III started when the Soviets started messing with our comms. What he didn't say was when they started messing with our comms, and he left it for people's belief systems to think that this was something that happened recently, when in reality it had already happened in the late 1940s. And technically, that's when this technological war began. It was all in the late 40s, folks. Everything changed when we went from the Office of Strategic Services to the CIA, when Project Troy showed up, when technologies were created that were instantaneously weaponized and militarized and used against populations, but no one was going to discuss it at the time publicly. So things went underground, both in a battle plan and a UFO plan, because all of these technologies were pretty much the same conversation. Has any of this ever fired across your bow before, Odin? Are you familiar with UFO disclosure?
Well, let's talk about some UFO disclosure. You know that, number one, they've been claiming disclosure since, hold on, claiming disclosure. I mean, we start with Operation Blue Book, which actually was disclosure, but no one wants to say that because the government of the United States has officially never just stood up and said, hey, guess what, guys, there are UFOs out there. Then on the other side, there has always been the accounts written not only in the Bible, but by the ancient Hindus on their cave walls. Also, the Aztecs and the Mayans have drawn and written documents, not written per se, written as in on walls and on their sculptures of aliens. Also, they have figurines that have alien looks. So disclosure has been there from the beginning. The problem is we're just too dumb to look at it. And we want something concrete. You know, they want that jelly bean, not what we call a rock. If it's ancient, it's an ancient jelly bean. It's a rock.
In fact, I've had the benefit of being to a fistful of places around the planet too, and I've seen some. I think they call them petroglyphs. The certain shapes that are carved into stones, and they're folks that are saying nowadays that those patterns that are carved into these stones all over the place are indicative of what would be the shape of the sun under certain circumstances, when certain activities would occur on that grand scale, and the sun would actually change shape in its plasma form. And they were saying that that's what those stone carvings were actually depicting. That's what some folks are getting at.
Well, I think it's kind of funny that, you know, we're demanding the Pentagon, the Department of Defense themselves, to disclose what they know about UFOs. People, don't you, well, hold on. What do we really believe anyway? Do we believe anything the government says? Do we believe any pictures that we see or videos we see on the internet anymore? Not really. So if you want them to disclose, it has to be documented. Like, they have captured an alien. They have captured a vessel. Here is the image of the vessel that they captured. Here's a guy in a military uniform with a smiling face with his helmet on, with his M16 standing there with a grin going, guess what, people? I'm standing beside, I'm posing. No, 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 this is not a... No, this is not virtual behind me. This is real. Ding, ding. You know, that's what we need. But we really have missed the big picture. The aliens are already here amongst us. I mean, look at the weird species of animals that are there. To most insects, we are the aliens. I mean, come on now. Think like thinking like an ant for a minute.
It's wild too that like there are so many circumstances where massive amounts of people have been privy to, a contact, so to say. There's a UFO that flew over the Hudson Valley that had thousands of people witnessing it when it occurred. So it's amazing to me that stuff can be so readily discounted.
Well, they've also seen multiple accounts in New York, flying objects over Israel, flying objects over the Temple of Giza. Nothing as of yet over the Sphinx. I wonder why. It's just ugly or something. They've dug and found out there are multiple Sphinx under the earth in Egypt, which makes it kind of interesting. But no one's dug up a UFO. They say there's a hole in the center of, in the South Pole region and the North Pole region, quote unquote, no-fly zones. That there's a hole there and there are aliens living there or based in there. Hypotheticals, no evidence, people showing videos as usual. I think the huge distraction is the use of video technology to sway a person's brain so they can get 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 100,000 hits, just like other things they've done. I mean, why can't they just come out with the truth? Say, hey, you know something? We weren't there, but here's a video that this guy over here did, and if it's fake, why don't you blame that sucker?
There's literally like an AI program now on YouTube that it manufactures video from content that already exists on the internet and does it in a way that it thinks that you'll like it. Like it makes stuff, like it pulls clips of things and adds like text and overlays audio and makes a video that you should like.
Hold on. Are you saying the AI creates? You know something? There's
videos on YouTube right now. When you look, when you're
AI.
watching YouTube, you're thinking that you're watching something that a person created. But there are currently right now already programs that just take clips of video and images and ideas and texts, and then it'll do like one of these little doodly things where it manufactures a video that will be pertinent, relative, and interesting to you. And hopefully you click on it. And then with that being said, since there's no person involved, like, is it a computer now swaying your opinion by hammering you with new videos that it made to get you to think a certain way?
I mean, I was always thinking that AI was advanced and AI was controlling. I mean, example of that would be when they said that there was a solar flare heading towards the Earth for the 18th and 19th of this month. Already let's say it nicely, or AI has it already, million hits, a million views, a million this, a million that. And I'm trying to figure out where you get the million people that are actually going to watch that. Where are you going to find them? Hell, you can't get a million people to sit there and watch a church service. So how you going to get a million people to watch a solar flare that you can't see?
Yeah, something tells me the numbers might be getting fudged in a spot or two.
Mm-hmm. I mean, alien disclosure is very important. I mean, there's been a lot of people out there fighting for over the decades. But, we should no longer be in the shadows of the ideology that there will be alien disclosure. I mean, what they should be disclosing is the programs that they've been sending individuals on that
Fair
took
enough.
us outside of this planet. But I even have an argument for that. There was a statement. Hold on, let me get it. And it's a verse actually in the Bible. Um, just talk for a minute. I gotta find this
Go for
thing.
it.
Um, what was it?
So, so you're going to be pulling together the biblical verses and the aliens for us, huh?
Well,
Full,
you know,
you're going,
there's some information there
this
that.
sounds like full spectrum universe stuff.
Oh, don't go there. Well, see, you know,
We're
I hit
getting
the.
big picture stuff here. We're going all over the place. Big picture.
All right, hold on, I found it. The word is
Right.
firmament. In
Oh, firmament.
yeah, in biblical cosmology, the firmament is a vast solid dome created by God on the second day to divide the primal sea from the upper and lower portions of the dry land uh, so that it could appear. Then God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters," mentioned multiple times in the Bible. Now, when that verse is stated, it says that we have layers or sectioned out this earth.
Mhm.
Now, my question is, how old is this statement? Because it was in the Old Testament. But how old is the statement truly? Because, number one, wasn't there one supercontinent at one point?
Technically, that was conversed in a geological sense from science, but
No
back to your
evidence of it.
biblical question of how old is that book in that stuff. I mean, that's also a really good question too, um, because the Bible's like the most plagiarized freaking book on the planet. It's like, so it's a great question. When any information in the Bible, you should seriously ask where it came from. I'm not saying it's not important information. I'm just saying that it predated the Bible. I mean,
That's
literally, it's books upon books that are like transcribed by scribes, literally. So the Bible is, by definition, like the end result of massive plagiarism. They took other people's books and put it in theirs. So you should definitely study where the information came from originally.
that's true. And the idea is that if you look at the book of Genesis, where this statement comes from, it has its own version of disclosure
Mhm.
because it says God is not of this earth, first of all, which means he has to be a what, everybody? Alien. Okay, good. Next thing is stated is that the earth was divided amongst three spheres: under the land, land, and or water and land, and then whatever is above. Okay, I can deal with that. But what about those creatures that came from sea to live on land?
Mhm.
Somebody help me with the disclosure on that portion. What happened when the aliens did come here? Because, you know, aliens meaning angels fell from the sky, ships probably, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of storyline to go with that. And there's a lot of inference because even in the ancient Indian or Hindu texts, it speaks of not only dogmen and other creatures of folklore, quote unquote. See how I did it? Quote, quote. But it also spoke of ships fighting in the air.
Interesting. Yep, that's like the old Vedic texts.
Yeah. So, and plus they have not only the imagery drawn on a old ancient quote unquote book, which is older than that of the Bible. Catch my drift, people. They were writing on paper, but these people were writing on scrolls.
Hmm.
God wrote on a stone tablet, but it was paper
You got the
already there.
Sumerians. You have the Sumerians from back in the day that were doing everything, the cuneiform on stone
Cuneiform.
tablets.
Right.
So, I mean, there's been folks doing this for quite some time.
It
And
goes back
talking
further.
about stuff, like you said, off of planet, for sure.
And who would be walking around with a couple of tablets of stone, walking around with them, and call it a library? That's too heavy. You have to find something thinner. I mean, what? You got a horse and buggy? Well, hold on. Horses were domesticated here in America, but they were brought from Europe. Okay, cool. So, what were they pulling this cart of stone tablets with?
Here's some biblical for you.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about the tablets when they went up to the mountain to meet God?
Hold on. Were they smoking a good blunt? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There you go. Right up. This will be a good one for you. So there was a husband and a wife that went up the mountain to speak to God, and that was Abram and Sarai. Right? You remember this? Then they went and they spoke to God, and they came down. Their names were changed. They were now Abraham and Sarah. They both had an H installed in their names. H being the 8th letter of the alphabet.
Okay.
And when you take the 8 and you put it on its side, what we call the infinity symbol used to be called the H, A-I-T-C-H.
Wow.
So it was known that when you went and you were enlightened by the knowledge of God, it was shown in depictions way back when that they would put the H, the infinity symbol, over the third eye position, which they used to even show Jesus Christ depicted this way in older pictures. The H and the infinity symbol and knowledge, enlightenment were all a Holy Trinity thing, so to say. But a lot of folks don't study that. Nobody really asks when they read their Bible. You know, they all read the Bible, and they're all reading the same Bible I was. But I don't know anybody else that ever inquired as to why the spelling of their names changed after they met God.
That is a good question. I mean, what's the change? Why change? Why?
Same exact letter. Abraham and Sarah, they both had the H installed. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, you got us thinking. Well, then, I mean, currently, I'm still trying to figure out if you went up to heaven, if your name was Elijah, and you were on a good ship lollipop going to the heavens, not heaven, heavens, S, as written in the Bible, then who was piloting that ship? Oh, it was an angel.
I'm just thinking now as we're doing this, it's like, are we staring down the barrel of like thousands and thousands of years of disclosure now? So like, we started this conversation with alien disclosure and is it going to happen and how much? But now we're right into, is this something that's been going on forever and thousands of years? And then like, how much of a tale is to be told right now? And this is why I don't think we're going to get the truth. I don't think we're going to get the full truth.
I don't see truth in anything anymore. I mean, here's a good one. Pentagon admits UFO program still exists, but Navy's alien sighting don't quite add up. Hold on. Stop. Ouch. Okay, that hurt. Navy's, they got a great radar shot. I mean, you can know they could turn that radar into a three-dimensional object, but it don't add up. But they only show us a two-dimensional, if that, in black and white. But we Navy, we know. You get to see the entire circumference of what is coming at you. That's how they didn't know what kind of missile it is. How you know? Well, because we made it 3D, and we can see what it looks like. And is that writing on the side? What does that say? Okay. We know this stuff, but I guess the public is still lost. I mean, they got to be lost to really say, oh, well, if they only have 2D technology. If they can track you walking down the street and their office is in Japan, sitting there, and got 5 geisha girls, and they can sit there and track you walking down the street in Toronto, D.C., you think they can't take that 2D flat screen They show you in all these beautiful pictures of a 2D flat screen radar scenario. Do you
They can
think
do
that's
it all.
do you think that's the only technology they have? 2D? Oh, come on. Hell, we doing holograms now. Grow up.
You just read my mind. With the 5G grid up, they can basically manufacture a 3D hologram in reality before your very eyes. But that people don't want to hear that. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to yield to that reality, and they will suffer the consequences for being that naive. You know, they could false flag the snots out of us right now with a whole bunch of stuff that we would be terrible but easy to do.
I mean,
Like simple, like with drone swarm technology and illumination.
hell, they can make you believe that you're on Mars.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, the
Mhm.
technology is beautiful today. And it's not film. No. It's not, the film, the photographer sitting there with his camera. No. They can actually give you a virtual environment around you, and you can honestly believe you're on Mars or you're on Venus. Or maybe kind of hot, but
Do you think you're really here, Neo?
hold on. The Matrix is following me. I want to taste this steak. Put me back in the program, somebody. I don't want to face this reality. Yeah.
Don't be one of those steak-eating suckers, Odin. Don't fall for it.
Hold on. It's not a steak. It's actually rat.
But yeah, I think we're in a massive matrix for thousands of years, technically.
I wonder if we're on board of a ship and the person next to you is really not there. I mean, it could be that way. I mean, we've been so indoctrinated to believe everything thrown at us from the beginning.
Well, think about it this way, right? I got a good buddy of mine. He put out this hypothetical situation, right? So we got video games now,
Right.
and everybody's trying to make a better video game so you can get more immersed in the video game. We're doing it. That's what's going on. So effectively, the best video game someday will be a video game where you would have to like be so immersed in the video game and it would be so real that you couldn't tell the difference from anything, right? You can go in any direction indefinitely and you can interact with anyone anywhere for as long as you want, and technically up to and including you could live a whole lifetime in the game.
And die of hunger.
all the above. Everything would be so realistic. It would be like a choose your own adventure, and the most realistic game would be that. It would pan out. So it would be in a way like the game of life. Like, so imagine you're in a video arcade room somewhere in a truly highly advanced civilization. And you're a kid in a highly advanced civilization, and you're just there in your arcade with your galactic quarter, and your buddy is like, hey Odin, let's try playing Humans on Earth. Would you like to play that game with me? And it's just so realistic that you get a whole lifetime on Earth experience. What if it's just simply that? We're here, you're in the middle of the most immersive video game ever created in the cosmos.
Now you're messing my head up.
Except for, I'm sorry, Being a Human on Earth 2. That video game's much better than Being a Human on Earth 1. The first one kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But I heard the second version's much better.
Well, the graphics were not up to par.
They got to upgrade on the graphics card. It's way cooler.
Yeah. It was 700.
It's less
gazillion, 700 gazillion terabytes of video RAM.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, all it really is you jump in the game. Here we are. We're trying it out. Deja vu moments are like in a video game, like when you reset. That's all. It's like playing Super Mario Brothers on an NES back in the day, you know? You go to level 2 and you get a 2-2 and 2-3 and 2-4. When you die, you don't go back to level 1. You just go back to 2-0 again. You know?
Right.
Same thing when you get up to level 7. You know? You get up to 7-4, you die. You only drop down to 7 again. You don't go all the way back to the start. So deja vu is that re-entry point in the video game where you just screwed something up. So if you ever have that deja vu feeling, just pay attention. You're going to move forwards again, but pay more attention because you only got moved back because you screwed something up.
And I guess they gave us a new term for it called reincarnation.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
But people make the false distinction that reincarnation means a full reset all the way back to the beginning, and it doesn't necessarily mean that. It's on the possibilities list, but you could also just as easily be pushed back to somewhere right in the middle of where you were.
You know something? You just really got me on that one. I mean, you know your favorite, Miss Ramona said, and when you're sleeping, you are dreaming, you are really living your true existence. It's almost sort of like choose your own existence, choose your fate.
Yeah, you definitely.
Street
It's
Fighter.
another aspect. It's like an expanded component of your consciousness.
And what if that
It's
was
not
real? And what if it was real? That's what we're living in.
It is real. There's a lot of folks that are supporting that statement. You know, Ramona's not entirely nuts. Sorry, I had to do that because you're easy.
She's on point. I mean, on that one, she's on point. I had to. I have to say, it is what it is. You're right. But now on the other side, excuse me, right quick. I gotta go get this little boy from. He dropped his marbles on the floor.
Nice.
Okay, I'm back. I found him.
That's all good. I'm glad you have a quality mute there for those that are on the radio.
Yes, I had to do a quality mute right quick. You know,
Odin's just chuckling and gaining his composure.
Yes, I had to go find that marble on the floor. You know, it's kind of interesting that, you know, this experience that we're showing right now for the audience to actually focus on for a minute is part of an existence that was in a movie, several movies, many movies. I mean, you had people that had android bodies and they were living in one of those bloody little tanks or in one of those little cubicles, and they had their mind controlling the body. But hold on, is that alien technology for an alien disclosure? Is that technology for disclosure? I mean, how do we start this? How do we grow this from our World War I barely dropping crappy bombs and flying airplanes that had to have, you know, 2 sets of wings on each side, to a plane that has one, to a plane that can attach to a rocket booster to go up into space?
We are such knuckleheads nowadays, and we are suffering mediocrity, and we fail to realize the greatness of the folks before us and how far we have fallen. You're talking about a very interesting time period. So now just push the timetable just a hair further to the start to World War II, right?
Yeah.
World War II started where there was still horse-drawn cavalry
Yes.
involved in battle. And it ended with the nuclear bomb.
Come on, man. Come on now.
So
you got to tell me. Come on. We're going to have horse and buggy, and you're going to end it with a nuclear bomb in less than
that's
seven.
what World War
in less
II
than,
was.
in less than 7 years.
So now, how come we're no longer at that level of innovation? What happened?
Well, that was 7 years, right? It was around 7
and then
years.
apparently we just stopped thinking since then.
Hold on. How do we think to get the atomic and the nuclear bomb was composed during that time? You had both. You had the both bombs at that time. So it's kind of interesting. And if anybody's out there, please look it up. How long does it take to refine atomic material?
Well, the filtering processes and things like that are rather complex to plumb. Let's just put it that way. But there are processes to plumb facilities to do all kinds of things. There's one in Roslyn, New York called the Paul Corporation, and they do filtration systems for nuclear vehicles and reactors and things like that. I used to work in some of their buildings. They have very interesting facilities. As a matter of fact, I used to be the plumber for Dr. Paul. He was one of the buddies of Oppenheimer on the Manhattan Project. So the Paul Corporation and Dr. Paul, yeah, there's interesting stuff when you get to nuclear history as well.
Wow. But hold on, why could we?
He's an interesting character. He's not around anymore, but he was really old when I met him.
But the question I would then have is, why couldn't the atomics been created during World War I? I mean, we were still horse and bugging.
Oh, understood. It's a matter of what's behind the scenes and stuff too, because just because people were presenting it at certain times and places doesn't mean that it wasn't being discussed in other avenues.
Or maybe we should say what technology was not ascertained during those issues of World War I and between World War I and World War II.
There's a lot of folks that believe that the Germans that went to Antarctica, the Germans in general, that they did accomplish nuclear energy, that they didn't decide to actively use it as a weapon, but that they had used it for power supplies. And then that's what some people speculate is how the Germans in Antarctica were able to do what they did. If you consider that they had nuclear power, well, then the possibility of running a facility in Antarctica in that time period becomes a lot more reasonable to consider.
I mean, people need to really take a look at a globe one day or a map of the world. I would take either one of them. Look where Germany is located. Look where, let's just start with the word Argentina. We ain't going to go far south yet. We're not going to go hit the rock bottom. I want you to look at Argentina on a map. I want you to draw a line between Germany and Argentina.
I've never done this.
And I mean, these people can't figure, how the hell did they get there with that cheap technology unless there was better technology there and safely?
Submarines.
Hold on. Did you say the word subs? Now, how did they compact? So it must have been a mega sub, like a aircraft carrier underwater sub size.
Why is this? Why does it have to be so big?
Because they had to carry troops, people, food, oxygen. Oh, they had an oxygen maker.
That they just had a massive extreme. They had a very effective submarine fleet. I think people discount how effective the German Navy was at moving materials around and being autonomous. There's a submarine that even after World War II technically ended, they were still engaging in battle because they were technically autonomous. I mean, that's how these things worked. So they were effectively cut off from their own chain of command, able to self-supply, refuel, do whatever they need to do. These boats went out and waged war, and run silent, run deep kept them safe. So disconnecting was effective. They didn't need to reconnect to any of their command staff or logistics line. They had their stuff figured out.
So they didn't need orders.
They also had orders, and they also had systems, and it was very functional. The German submarine fleet was doing a lot of things that would surprise people. Most submarine fleets are doing a lot of things that would surprise people.
Bubbles. But
yeah,
see,
come on.
Yeah. I mean,
70% of this planet is covered in water, which means 100% of the submarine activity, you don't get to know what's going on.
You'll never know.
There you go. You get to get told what's happening.
But these wonderful people around the world, especially the Americans, think they know everything, and they think
Like
their
UFOs.
government. Of course.
Get told what's going on with UFOs.
Now, I've heard there has been discoveries of underwater UFO bases, ancient ones, and dot dot dot. And I don't know what to believe, honestly.
I think there's a lot of merit to that. I mean, seriously, there's so much structure on this planet that we find on the earthen surface, right?
Yeah.
We go into the jungle in the Amazon, we clear some trees away. Next thing you know, there's a structure. Oh my God, how long has that been there for?
There's a dinosaur. Watch out. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the vast majority of our studies talk about the different ways of the surfaces forming and such. And the idea in general is that we can study the surfaces in that conversation. Nobody really starts to focus on the 70% of the planet that's always not observable. And it doesn't mean that it's any less important. People just are short-sighted and don't understand long timetables. So, for example, you have Antarctica right now, which is a massive, massive, massive area on the southern hemisphere, which is currently an accumulation of ice on top of what is technically a small amount of land protruding out of the water. So imagine, if you will, if you were to remove all of the ice from the Antarctic continent, and you would see just a simple small ridge line of mountains popping up, and then another small ridge line of mountains, and to understand how much ice that accumulates, that now it's 2 miles thick on top of the area that it covers. Massive volume. So imagine with tectonic plates shifting, if the Antarctic mass moved more to an equatorial location, and imagine, I feel like an old school radio guy, imagine, if you will, the Eurasian continent at the 90 degrees south mark of the southern hemisphere. But seriously, if that huge landmass was dropped out at 90 degrees south, the amount of water that would be able to accumulate over that landmass over time would start to suck the oceans dry.
Yeah.
As your poles, now if you had another landmass on the North Pole and a massive landmass on the South Pole, you can start to see huge changes in what the surface of this planet would look like, because the oceans would effectively get sucked up. Those are like big moisture sinks. Like there's a term like a heat sink or a cold sink, but the poles are like moisture sinks on this planet. They soak up the water, and that's effectively where our weather systems come from. All this global warming nonsense everybody talks about.
I was going to ask you about
You want to figure
that.
out what's going on this planet? Just follow the water cycle. That's all you need to know.
I was going to ask
Follow
you
the
about
water
that.
cycle.
So
Yeah.
if a meteorite hits the South Pole region and it melts the ice, then that water is going to drain into the Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Indian Ocean and the Arctic Sea, and it's going to flow upward, and it's going to cover Argentina. It's going to cover the whole South American continent. It's going to wipe out most of Australia. It doesn't exist on a flat Earth map, so don't worry about it, people. Australia does not exist.
Catastrophe, by any definition, is always available tomorrow. I wouldn't lose sleep over it tonight.
Oh man, you're not letting them suit up, the boot up to get ready to go have some fun. We got to prepare. We got to go find the highest mountain. In fact, they did say in the South Pole region, there's a mountain there that's higher than Mount Everest. I think it was. I got to do that one. I saw that on a.
I'm not familiar with that statement.
Well, if the ice was and the snow was brushed off of it, it'd be taller than Mount Everest. Highest, I think.
Nah, no way.
Because,
Maybe if they're talking like from seafloor to peak or something.
yeah, seafloor to peak.
Ah, that's different.
Well, I mean, on Mars we got mountains that are miles high, and yeah, I mean, it's a wonder if there are not mountains that big on Earth from seafloor to peak. That would be enormous.
I think there's other ones on Earth from seafloor to peak that are bigger than Everest as well. It's just the names are eluding me. There's some other stuff when you incorporate seafloor stuff.
I mean, they all start from the seafloor anyway and push upward.
Technically.
I mean, no mountain is built on land. They had to be covered by water.
Mm-hmm.
But, the idea is that with that being said, hold on, it's the Mauna Kea, a volcano on the big island of Hawaii. Mauna Kea originates deep beneath the Pacific Ocean and rises more than 33,000 feet from base to peak.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, so Everest is not the biggest one to climb. So what you need to do now is go get yourself a scuba gear and start from the bottom of the floor and walk your way up.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Started from the bottom, now the whole team's here. All right.
You know that one.
Yeah, you got me started on that song too. I gotta get it out of my head now. But the funniest thing is, people do not think that, everybody wants to go up, always to the top, climb that mountain. What about those people that want to go down to the bottom of the ocean floor?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the adventure is up top, but the thrill's down low.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what you gonna see?
Back to what you were saying before about UFOs and secret submarine bases and things like that. I mean, that's where it's at. If you believe that there are obstacles that can't be overcome to getting down there, well, then you're going to believe there's nothing going on down there.
Right.
But if you understand that there are technologies that tolerate the presence of folks at depth, well, then 70% of the planet is theirs.
Well,
you don't have that technology. It's just off limits to those who don't have the technology.
I mean, the question would then be, would a true spaceship that travels outside of the Earth be able to withstand the pressure of the deepest part of the ocean?
They're completely different. You actually have to look at it the other way. You actually just stated that completely backwards, but the logic is still in there. Ready for this?
Right.
The submarine service is the greatest research and development department for NASA.
Correct.
The reason being, in space, you have the constant of nothing, which actually makes it very easy to engineer for. In the depths of the ocean, you have massive forces changing constantly. It's actually harder to build a submarine than it is to build a spaceship. But here's the trick. If it works in a submarine, it will work in a spaceship, not the reverse. The submarine is the way more technologically advanced item.
So
those are the facts.
That would actually change the outlook of a way that we should be thinking. I mean,
Correct.
Honestly,
to just go to space is just actually easy compared to going to the bottom of the ocean is savagely more challenging.
Because they still haven't been to the bottom of the Baltic. They haven't been down to the mid-ocean ridge.
We've gone to the moon. We haven't explored the entirety of our own planet. That tells us right there which one's easier.
Yeah, and it also tells us that we've been lied to when we say we know our own planet.
We don't know squat
We
about
don't know
this
nothing.
There's like you can just look at traditional travel routes and things like that. Shipping routes, sea routes, flight paths and things like that. These are standards. The planet's gigantic, but we take certain paths because we know them. Planes don't just go flying all over the ocean. They have planned routes that they traverse directions on. They don't deviate. So there's lots of areas we haven't flown over. There's lots of parts of the seas no ship has ever gone on, ever.
Because it's a large ocean out there.
And they're going to take a standard shipping route.
Where everybody knows it's a safe way to avoid rocks, coral, and and small islands.
So unless you've taken a boat out to every inch of the Pacific Ocean, which is huge, I'm sorry. There could be another country out there, and they might not be telling you.
Or, as they discovered, additional islands out there they're still not telling you about.
or huge country that's been populated for 1,000,000 years and technologically advanced beyond you could imagine it.
And they told us to forget about
How would
it.
you know if you don't go there? Well, if there's a new fly zone for 1,000,000 years and they have advanced stuff that anytime anything else comes near it, they're like, oh, what happened to Amelia Earhart? Oh, I don't know.
Bermuda
I have no
Triangle.
idea.
Bermuda Triangle. How about that?
Yeah, Bermuda. Yeah, like maybe there's just a country there that like you get too close and they're like, yeah, dude, sorry, you're out. Laser beaming you right now.
We don't want you humans here.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, oh, damn it! It's 100,000 years again. Every 100,000 years, these little punks get airplanes again, and we got to bust out the laser beams, start tearing them down. Everybody's talking about disclosure and UFOs and off-planet stuff. What about like these just highly advanced countries they don't tell us about?
I mean, there has been statements. I mean, honestly, I don't know whether I believe in Atlantis or not. And this goes with disclosure once again. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a story. The idea of Lemuria, I think it's a story that was made up.
Fair enough.
There's really no true evidence of it except from Plato.
Well, the evidence is just it's
Hypotheticals.
inherent. No, it's inherent. The idea that there were people that were more intelligent before us was just what he was postulating, because it was thumbing his nose at what was being presented, that we kind of showed up out of nowhere with intelligence. So in a way, he was just kind of giving another example of a way of showing that like there's got to be another way.
I agree.
But with the idea of just speculating again, what if he was just doing the same thing that I was doing and just saying, hey, maybe there's this highly advanced thing and it fell from grace and so on and so forth, and now here we are.
And everybody falls in love with
maybe
the story.
Lemuria and Atlantis exist, but they were just smart enough to just go off the radar. I mean, like nowadays, there's rich people that you hear about on the news and stuff, Bill Gates and Elon Musk. Oh, we just found out Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world now? Really? People believe that? If you know his name, he's not rich.
Right.
That's what it really boils down to, folks. If you've heard of these people's names, they're not wealthy. They're owned by actually wealthy people that you'll never hear of their names.
And don't forget, everybody, that the dollar is not backed by gold nor silver. So
Right.
how do you equate wealth when there's no backing?
Right. Everything's a total scam right now.
Yeah.
Everything is a total racket right now, and people just don't get that. What's the value of anything? You know,
The person's dream.
more or less, it's a shared hallucination right now. When you say like the person's dream, it's like plural. The person's dreams, whatever the shared hallucination is on the conversation at the time.
And that's a shame, isn't it? I mean, that's almost like saying that there's nothing truly real out there. I mean, we look at human existence, we look at quote unquote mankind, we look at the experiencing our own individualized existence, and all we see are more and more and more lies, cover-ups, hidden ideas, hidden systems, and I hate to say this, but it kind of distracts people regardless, but we see all these uniformed, quote unquote, letters or created languages that we supposedly understand now. We got computer, we understand it. But how do you know what they really meant? I mean, it's like you're reading cuneiform, you're reading an ancient language, and you're gonna tell me you know the words, you know what they are, you know what they mean. Hold on, the civilization is dead. We're trying to analyze to figure it out, but most civilizations back then dealt with situations that they had at hand, and their terminologies and thoughts were of that time, which we are not part of and which we do not know anything of. So how do we read the language? Oh, hey, Aaron.
Well, basically, the play of the day. I think is a switcheroo on terminology. I think we see that screaming through society nowadays. Look at this the lunacy with like this whole how we title people. You know, I mean, it's fallen off of the radar in the lieu of things as of late, but recently, like all this cult refer to me as they
Hold on.
or
How can you
no,
be a they?
right, like these people that don't want to be a he or a she or a boy or a girl. They want to change the words and they want to force other people to use their new vernacular, which it's like, listen, I mean, be whatever you want to be, but I'm not stopping you. But if you're going to start forcing me to change my vocabulary because you're uncomfortable, I mean, that's
Or you
that's
weren't uncomfortable as a
misinformation.
kid.
That's misinformation and disinformation 101 right there. And I'm sorry that they got caught up in the manipulation, but I understand ideas and words and intents, and I also can understand when other people are being worked, so to say, like ratchet
Brainwashed.
created. Yeah, brainwashed.
Go
That's a
ahead.
great way
Use
of
a
looking
good
at it.
word. You use a word
Yeah,
that
they're
everybody
getting
understands.
brainwashed and used and manipulated, you know, as if they're part of some grassroots organization that's saving what? People from words?
I'm going to save you. Your new word of the day is we. Who are you? We are we. We.
Mhm.
We.
And it's a dangerous thing too, because technically all they're really doing is they're taking their opinion and trying to force it on the world, right? Which effectively is like, do unto others as you would have done unto you, which is like the most selfish statement in the world, because effectively it postulates that everyone wants the same things that you do,
Amen to that.
which is horrible.
Horrible.
You know, we should never do unto others as we would want done unto us. We should do unto others as they would want done for them. Like, how do you help someone? You know, do unto others like unto how you would paint their house. Well, that would mean that I would paint your house the color I like, not the color you like.
Oh, I want a yellow house. No, I want
Yeah.
mine green.
Yeah,
No,
I
you're
mean,
gonna have it yellow today, okay?
no, I'm going to do unto you the way I would want it. I want a green one, so you're getting a green one. So if you're painting your house yellow, guess what? I'm coming over with green, bro. That's just all that's going down.
Don't worry about it. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'm helping. Look, I got green covered over here. I know you wanted yellow, but I'm doing unto.
I mean, people have lost their. I mean, they've lost more than just their intelligence. I mean, so is a horse a he or she or a they? Is a
They
dog
lost
a they?
discernment. In addition to intelligence, you need discernment. I don't know that you can really separate the two of them. It's like you can't really have intelligence if you don't have discernment. And a lot of people want to run around screaming from the hills that they're a highly intelligent person in society today, but they seem to lack discernment because when you engage them in a conversation, they just simply have a lot of questions, which doesn't show that they have a discerning mind.
Well, you said it correctly. Now, my other issue would be, now that you're discerning, what would an alien call itself? Is it a he, she, it, or they, or we?
I imagine they wouldn't feel the need to bring that into the conversation. They would just be more presenting the text, I would almost say, like, you know, they're relaying at that point. So it's I would imagine it's just like coming from this direction going to that direction. Those terms that you're using are very ego related,
They're
right?
lucid.
They're ego related terms, which I think is funny because going back to the front end of this, when people are trying to force you to use a new term for them, it's like double ego, you know. I don't like the word that you were using for me. It's not special enough. I need it to be extra special, so I'm going to come up with a new one. So it's a freaking ego issue is all it really boils down to. It's like
Yeah.
I need extra attention. I
Okay.
need a new word.
Okay, so I can be a bowl of spaghetti today. All right. Bolognese.
Yeah, I don't want to be Mr. Hecker. I want to come up with a new thing. Mr. is a horrible way. It's oppressive term.
Yeah.
So I want to be MERS. It's now going to be, it's MRZ.
MRZ.
MERS Hecker.
Okay. Now, I was thinking back to disclosure.
And if people call up and don't refer to me that way, they're racists.
Oh, my God. No.
They're obviously racist if they don't use my name and title correctly.
Okay.
And they hate women, obviously.
Yes. What a world we live in today. So when we're starting a disclosure, I mean, this is all part of disclosure, people. I mean, it's not just aliens. It's disclosing who we are as people. And our own planet needs disclosure more than the aliens need disclosure.
It's like the more you look at stuff, it's almost amazing that every single direction you look in, you can just find misinformation and disinformation on like every subject.
Yeah, you can. I mean, a person I would love to see you interview would be Stephen M. Greer. He does.
Oh, geez.
Don't even start. It'll be an interesting conversation, and we're gonna keep it like that because we're gonna study the extraterrestrial intelligence. The only way I can study it is from the chromosome and the genome level, and that would probably be the only way to study it because they're already here. Look around you. I mean, hell, I had Chris Garcia. He's an alien.
I mean, this
I had to go there.
The planet's been here for a very long time, so to try to look at it as like ours and isolated from space around us is very naive. I mean, like, how do you define alien? How long does something have to be here before it's considered earthling? Where do we draw the lines? Who gets to be the judge and jury on these things?
Well, you know,
how long does something have to be here before it's no longer considered alien to the planet?
Well, it has to be here one generation, and that other generation has to die off because it's still an alien. It's almost like you got to give it a social security number and a green card.
Well, then, I hear what you're saying, but following your logic, right? When you say that you said it has to live here for a generation. Well, even here on Earth, I mean, it's debatable what's a generation for stuff, right?
Right.
I'm not versed in it, but the monarch butterfly, something like its life cycle and its gestations and things like that. Like, something happens where that thing, like the ones that are born 1 year will go around the planet to a certain spot, but they'll be away for what you would call generations. But then it's only a certain amount of them will eventually come back to where they had been born like 8 years ago or something, and then rebirth or something. So effectively, the ones that go back to where they were birthed never actually started from there, but figure out how to get back there by like DNA passed down through time. So things can get really weird. What is a generation?
Yeah.
What is something that's from here? What is something that's foreign? You know, if we went to another planet, we expect to see all these crazy looking alien things, right? Do we not have things on our planet that are already pretty crazy looking and alien? Like, what the freak's a giraffe, dude? Like,
okay, you went there, didn't you?
You know what I'm saying? Like, we already got some stuff here that's kind of freaking weird looking.
You went
and
to
it
giraffe.
It looks like it could be on an alien planet, you know?
The kangaroo?
Yeah. Dude, a kangaroo looks like a kind of really angry looking dude that hops around. Like those things are jacked up. I wouldn't want to fight a kangaroo. Those are ripped.
Yeah, pure muscle.
And they look like they want to fight too when they get near people. They look like angry aliens.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that we have that are alien right in front of us. Even a mouse. Come on now. Mice. I mean, they could be some ugly little creatures too. I mean,
dude, we're probably like a personal zoo in the cosmos for some rich dude that collects things from all over the cosmos. And we're just like his personal zoo.
The Komodo dragon. Hey,
Yeah, you know, like, there's like rich oil guys in Texas that have like tigers and lions and hippopotamuses and things on their property and stuff. That's all this is. Like Atlantis is just some rich dude's estate, and we're just like the rest of his sprawling property, and we're like the third rock from the sun, and we're just property.
It's just property.
It is what it is, man.
And we're actually in a machine, sitting back, and we're just investigating and walking around. Don't forget the person in the machine has got to get hungry once in a while, so that's when we go to sleep. And when we awaken, it's because the person is finished eating. He gets back in the machine, and we're off to the races again. That sounds like a good theory to go with it.
And if you play right by the machine, you get the steak every day.
Yeah, the Matrix is real.
You screw around, you're going to be getting that spam and government cheese. Just is what it is. Don't be screwing around. If you want steak, do what the Matrix says.
Join us, because there's nothing real around you. It's all an illusion.
Keep your mask on. Don't think.
Don't give nobody no hug, okay? Excuse me.
If you take much deeper breaths with the masks on, it'll be harder for you to get the oxygen, and then you'll be oxygen deprived, and you won't have to think, so everything will just be fine.
That works. Yeah, we can get rid of half the population that way, too. It's and you know, it's kind of funny, going back to alien disclosure. Where does this virus come from? I mean, something that mutates. That virus is an alien virus that we are allergic to. Am I on the right path?
It's possible. Anything's possible. Then that's yet just another concern that we have to have. I mean,
it's alive.
What does come raining down from space? Is it impossible to think that a virus or anything detrimental could come raining down on us? I'm sure we can't negate the possibility. So with that being said, do we sit here and live in fear every single time something pops up on the radar?
Help.
You know,
help, it's a virus. It's raining on me. Oh, raid.
Yeah, I mean, everybody gets all fired up over the next biggest fear, and that's all they're doing is just beating the war drum of fear all the time, when there's a million things that could happen tomorrow that would ruin a good day.
A solar flare.
You name it. There's so many possibilities, but to sit here and be so concerned about it that it ruins today, it's just a waste of life at that point. It's just you're dissipating your life force energy from doing anything good if you're going to just be focusing on these potential evils that could occur. A bad day can happen tomorrow by a million definitions. There's no reason to focus on that. You should focus on the many millions of ways it could also be a good day.
That's a perspective that people have not gained attention to. I mean, they fear good and bad because they don't know what will affect them the most or the least. And with the way we're looking at society, we will always be fearing the aliens that are amongst us or out there in space or in the earth. Yes, right. I know it. They're in the earth. I've seen them. Hold on. Where do you think Bigfoot went? He moved the rock and went underground. That's right. Hey. I was on that spaceship with Jesus and Bigfoot and the little gray alien. I saw it. I saw it happen. We saw the creation of a new galaxy while I was smoking weed and they were popping mushrooms. Thank you very much.
That's probably the best way to start a new galaxy, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean they were having a good time. They come to Earth just to find something special.
Pop some acid, throw on some Jerry Garcia.
Man, you know they have a good time in the spaceship, man. Y'all just don't know. Now, my only other question would be, when it comes to these underwater bases, they come in from space, it's hot coming through our atmosphere because we have those rings around us, and then they crash into the water. Do they adjust pressure from the inside since it is a sealed compartment, and they can? I mean, there's no oxygen, I hope, underneath the ocean. We don't even know. Hold on, stop. We know there are oceans in the ocean. There are lakes in the ocean. There's fresh water in the ocean. But no one's ever said there was pockets of oxygen in the far depths of the ocean.
You went everywhere on that, but
I know. I'm just thinking about that.
There's a lot of postulation about there being submerged bases. As far as entering the atmosphere with heat and then entering the water, you are thinking of our conventional sciences and not the more advanced technologies that would be working, because our stuff that is just dropping into the atmosphere by gravity gets hot.
Right.
Their stuff is not doing that. It's coming in a controlled fashion, and I guess you would say a bubble, so to say, that is separating it from the environment around it, so it's not heating up like you suggested. And then when it gets down to the water, it's actually not technically in contact with the water either.
It's shielded.
It has like a bubble around it, so to say, like that whole thing drops into the water, but it's not like the vehicle gets wet.
Okay, so what are the odds of Fukushima with some alien technology creating a Godzilla? I've been dying to listen. I want my own Godzilla, and I'm sorry. When all that nuclear radiation went to the Pacific Ocean, I was like, oh my God! In 20 years' time, Godzilla, Godzilla.
You're giving me flashbacks to Channel 11 WPIX.
Yeah.
Saturday afternoons, Godzilla and karate movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Yep,
yeah, the
totally.
Drunken Master was the best one, man. The old guy.
Godzilla versus Mothra, and then the Drunken Master.
Yeah.
The 7 Deadly Venoms.
Oh shoot, that was another one of my films. Man, you're bringing back some good memories. But no.
Do you know? How about this? Do you know Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon?
Yes. Oh my
Bruce
God.
Leroy Green?
Yes.
That's classic.
That is classic. That is.
Catching bullets with his teeth. I love that.
Show enough. Show enough.
Master.
Who's your master? Show enough. That's right.
Who is the one, the only Shogun of Harlem?
I am just cracking
I love that
up.
movie.
That movie was awesome. So
I would like to meet her. Of course you'd like to meet her.
See, I didn't want to go to that movie. Well,
I was an 80s kid.
Hell yeah. That was a time when movies were original and the ideas were original, and now we're doing spoofs off of movies from
Yeah,
the
we'd
past.
agree with you. You were running around rocking outfits like DeBarge back in the day, weren't you?
Oh my God, I had a jerk. Oh, I didn't say that out loud. All right, I'm leaving that alone. Can you feel the rhythm of the
Tell the
night?
truth. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You know you were trying it.
Yeah, I did. Okay, I ain't gonna. Hey.
You felt the rhythm of the night, didn't
Yes,
you?
I did. Yes, I did. Yes, Lord. Yeah, that
my
movie
God.
brought back memories.
Hey, do you need rights to play that song?
Do I? No, I don't think so.
That's got to be old enough now, technically, and nobody wants to hear DeBarge.
No, but listen, they were a dynamic group back then. I mean,
Dude, anybody can make money in the 80s.
the Jets were good. Oh God, the Jets were kind of sucky, but yeah, they were good. I mean, they were not from America, and they were a good group. I give them some credit. There's some songs for the Jets. Why am I going to music? Because even the music back
That was my
then
bad.
disclosed.
I was just trying to think in my head. I'm like, was there any good Disclosure bands in the 80s? I don't think there was. Like, they didn't have, like, Rage Against the Machine back then. Like, there wasn't really anybody who was... I can't think of anybody in the 80s.
U2.
Oh, come on. That was a cover story for, like... That's what you call a gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper, okay.
Yeah, that was like limited hangout stuff. I mean, Isn't Bono on like Bill Gates like vaccine board or
Yes,
something
he
for
is.
Africa?
Yes, he is. And
Yeah, I mean,
Bono, dang man.
yeah,
Um,
he's a scam.
yeah, he sold out long time ago, and people thought he was all that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
like Oprah
shame.
Winfrey in the schools for girls,
Oh my
but they're not
God,
schools for girls. They're like schools for trafficking girls and stuff
girls.
like
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's what these rich folks do, and all these organizations do. Is they're all front companies for evil things. I mean, the Catholic Church now is being outed for eons and eons and eons of pedophilia, child abuse, and trafficking. Finally, um, but yet you think they're the only ones doing it? They're just like one party. They're doing business with some other folks somewhere.
The aliens. That's right. We're going to
That's true too.
disclose it.
That's what a lot of the ancient text does say as well, is that that we're a commodity. It's just that simple. It's a big intergalactic thing. I'm sorry. It's as simple as watch Star Wars. Space is vast, full of people, and they're just in the midst of intergalactic commerce. It's that simple.
Or should we say intergalactic slavery?
I was going to follow right to that, and then in that vein of intergalactic commerce, everything's a commodity to someone, and economics shows us that supply and demand rules. If there is a demand for something, there will always be a supplier that shows up. That's life. That is the truest of truest things that you can look in history, and that is why one of the most ancient symbols on our planet across the world, folks, is the pawnbroker's symbol. The upside down trident with the three balls hanging at the end. This is the pawnbroker's symbol, and it's one of the most ancient symbols because people know how to trade fucking goods. And everything is a good if someone's got enough money.
Well, that's why we got Social Security numbers.
Yeah, buddy.
We're on the stock exchange, baby. You just can't get yourself free.
Everything. You can get anything you want today. It's just to the highest bidder. I can straight up. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, it's. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, so to say, but you know as well as I do. If I had a big enough check account, I could theoretically own your ass right now.
Yep.
It's
easy.
I mean, literally, like that's what it boils down to. If I had enough money, I could totally control the world of Odin.
Everything around it.
Absolutely.
And I'll resist. I'll fight for resistance, but it's a futile fight.
Of course you would.
It's a
but
futile
resistance
fight.
would be futile if you didn't have the bank account to go against my bank account.
And that's just the way the world is. The galaxy is. The intergalactics is. But something, I still wonder why people out there think and conceive that the aliens are nice. They're going to save us. Hold on. Don't forget our girl on, oh my God, Independence Day. Oh Lord, I hope they bring back Elvis.
Yeah, all the people partying on the roof when they got blasted.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, y'all got a front row seat to a laser beam from hell. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, we're suckers. We're always looking for a salvation, a savior, a shepherd to lead us to the light. And most people
Land
don't
trust.
Oh God, yeah, we got somebody that's gonna take us by the hand and lead us to the promised land. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I've died multiple times." Well, excuse me. If you are strangled enough, you're gonna get that bright light. It's called oxygen deprivation to the brain, and you're gonna pass out. And what you see in your head at that moment in time is the last image that's in your thoughts. You're going to see Gates. Well, guess what? You can see anything at that point because I'm choking the crap out of you. So the bottom line is, many people that say, I've died, da-da-da, most of them have had oxygen deprivation, and they won't. Maybe people don't research or never been choked out. Hell, my old CO choked me out when I was in the military. I'll never forget that. He was a petty officer DeSorta. Look, I said your name out loud. DeSorta, if you're listening, look, you my man. I love you. But that was years ago. I'll take you on now, you old ass. I'll take your old ass on now. Come in here, that wheelchair.
Crush my company commander now.
It's like, now I'm ready, boy. Yeah, your ass
It's
is like,
funny. I can't even picture what he would look like old now. So I was 18 back then, and he was an older dude. My company commander was a boiler tech.
oh, shit.
Yeah, I had a BT2 from my company commander. So you want to talk about an angry son of a gun?
All
this
day.
guy was like, this guy had hash marks all up his arm, but he was still a second-class boiler tech because it was a dead rate. So my company commander was extra angry with life.
He wasn't going nowhere. He was going nowhere fast.
He had a whole bunch of stripes on his arm, but nothing on his shoulder.
No, Fails of Disorder was a CB, and he was the craziest motherfucker there was. I know.
Man, that name rings a bell for some reason.
Over there in Great Lakes.
I went to Great Lakes. What year were you there?
I was there in 1992.
Damn, I was there in 4, dude. Nope. Yeah, 4. I was there in 4. I wonder if he was there. That name rings a bell, dude.
Man, that little tight, little Armstrong, he was a chief by that time. I mean, he was bulk like, and you know, he loved us flag boys. Yes, I had the flag. I snapped it. Pop! And it was like, he jumped up and down, said, that's my motherfucker. And then he came in and drilled me. I got a chance to meet the Rain Man for the 4th time in 3 days.
Oh, damn. That might be why the name's ringing a bell. The Rain Man.
The Rain Man.
The Rain Man.
You know, it's hard to make it rain by yourself.
That's why the name rings a bell. I think we're talking about the same dude, and I've gone through a rain session. We've actually made it snow too.
Oh, you did? Damn.
Yeah, I was there when it was cold enough to snow.
Good.
We did that twice.
Oh my God.
That was nuts. So you know the barracks. I was in Division 2.
Oh, I was in
It was
Division
right by
2.
the front gate.
Right
So I was
next to the
Division
front
2, first compartment, first one in on the left.
I was
from the back door.
I was on the 5th compartment, and I was in the middle. And hold on, it'd be funny if you remember a guy that was sitting there, and I had at that time a beautiful little Asian girlfriend. She was Korean American. Kim, boy, she wore that little purple outfit. I was showing that picture around like a mother. Never mind, let's get off that topic before before I get killed.
We were talking something about boot camp.
Yeah, boot camp. Yeah, boot camp.
The Rain Man and the Snowman.
Yeah.
So you know those barracks. So they were like 180 feet long, windows on both sides, and it was ripping cold in Great Lakes in the wintertime, obviously. And so they do the whole Rain Man routine where they would bring our sister company in from the compartment next door. They would bring us all into one compartment, so we'd have 2 complements of crew.
Of sweat.
So you're looking at like 400 people in that compartment, and sweating, like crazy, to the point where there's a coating of sweat on the floor, and everybody's slipping when you're dropping on the deck and smashing your face into the ground when they tell you to drop and stuff like that, and all that fun shenanigans. But then when they get all that humidity level up, they would have us go man the windows, because when the humidity was getting high enough to where it's starting to rain inside, the Rain Man, we would man all the windows, and he would give the command, and we would drop all the windows down and let the cold air in from outside, and it would whip right off the Great Lakes, condense that whole room, and it would snow inside.
Good God. You know something? I only had one snow session, and we didn't get a chance to snow, and he marched us the hell in the snow. At that year, we had to go clean out Mr. T's driveway and Admiral Gaston's driveway.
Hey, did you have that guy there there's a guy that had a really, really, really nice yellow Camaro with a blow.
Oh, hell yes. We loved that man's car, but we couldn't touch it, but you had to wash it.
I didn't have to touch that
You
thing.
didn't have to wash it? Oh my God!
But I used to watch it. I used to watch him rolling around all the time. I wanted him to hammer down on it so bad, but he'd be lumping that thing. Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, man.
Excuse me.
Those were good days. But you know, I heard that in the military now we get timeout sheets because because your your CO is being kind of mean to you.
Oh, jeez.
You
I
get
remember
10 minutes. 10 minutes. Sorry.
I was a divisional yeoman. I didn't do boot camp the same as other folks did. I did it very differently. So I was a divisional yeoman, and one of the things that I had to do during the week was take. Do you remember drill hall 1600?
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So drill hall 1600, right? You remember that one, right?
Oh God.
Yeah, you have flashbacks now. So drill hall 1600 was where you went if you screwed up during the week. On Thursdays, they would make you go to drill hall 1600. And I used to be in charge of taking everybody from Division 2 in my division who had to go to drill hall 1600 and get screwed for the week. But it was a pomp and circumstance thing, right? So if you know the drill in the Navy, like in boot camp, like if things get screwed up, it rolls downhill, right?
Yeah.
So I was in charge of the Division 2 yeoman staff and in charge of making sure that these recruits got over to drill hall 1600 to get their asses beat. And if my crew did it wrong, that guy was going to get in trouble, and I was going to get in trouble as well. So I didn't even delegate that task. I went to drill hall 1600 every week and delivered the recruits from my division because I didn't want it to get screwed up and I didn't want to get heat for my guy doing it wrong. So I would go there and I would go through the motions, and it was very regimented on how you delivered your recruits and what you said to whom and how you did it. And you couldn't look at people a certain way. You couldn't say certain things to certain people. You couldn't look at the recruits while they were, the term is cycled, when they're getting cycled. You're not allowed to look at them. There was a lot of regulations in drill hall 1600. Basically, once you delivered your recruits, you would sit on the bleachers and you would just take your Ricky recruit notebook and you'd stick it over your face so you couldn't be accused of looking at anything. They were very serious in there. Yeah. So one day I was discharging all of my guys in there, and I did it perfectly. I did it perfectly like I was supposed to. But the senior chief that was running it, he knew what was going on, and he said something to me, and he says, Hecker, I've seen you here a bunch of times. He goes, you got to be going home soon, correct? And I said something like, yes, sir, this will probably be the last time that you see me here. And I totally messed that up because I didn't realize he had never got me before. I never messed up. Lots of times, all the other divisions, when their guys bring people in, they mess up. And when you mess up, you have to join your crew getting cycled.
Yep.
The people that you brought, if you messed up, you're joining them. Now, technically, I didn't do anything wrong that week. So I don't want to just get dinged for, forgetting an exclamation point or something somewhere. I don't want to get my butt wrecked, or technically anyone on my crew, which is why I went there to make sure they didn't have to do that. But I had effectively pulled this off through all of boot camp. I did a proper discharge of all of my guys. And on the last night that I was going to have to do it, he asked me, and I answered. I should have fibbed or something, but I don't do that.
Oh, God.
So he dinged me, and he goes,
well, that's your last night, son. It's your last night, son. Uh-oh, Derek, are you stuck? Eric? Oh, Lord, Eric, are you stuck?
I'm here.
Oh, my God. Last night. Come on. I know what he said. You shouldn't have told me you were leaving, boy.
Yeah.
I got to make sure you get some love.
So basically, yeah, what happened was I said to him, that this is my last time there. And I'm looking straight ahead. I only hear a voice. Like I know he's up in the bleachers. And he says to me, he goes, you've done a very good job. Join your crew. And I remember like that it got me so mad because he both acknowledged that I did it right, that he couldn't technically get me for doing anything wrong. But you know what? Join them anyway.
Oh
I was so mad, but I mean that's definitely not the time or place to be showing anything other than a solid aye.
Well, let me say, I snapped on Petty Officer sorta after the
God, that name is killing me. I got to check my
man,
yearbook.
gotta
or
go
whatever.
back, man. Everybody knows the story. That motherfucker and I had it out. But we actually we had to close the door, and I was master at arms in the barracks, and that was my week duty. Yeah, I took it for 2 weeks. But he said, "Why you taking that shitty duty?" I'm like, "Because it's the only way to make sure my house is clean." Your house? So he says, "Oh," I said, "Yeah, this is my house." I had to back it up like I was somebody. You know what I mean? You buffing. You pushing out 1,000 push-ups. You know what I'm saying? You know what time it is with the pack on. You rocking. And I said, "Yeah, it's my house." And he swung, and I moved. Biggest mistake I should have done, but I didn't. I moved, and I'm like, uh-oh. He said, "Close these damn doors." The next thing I knew, it was me against the barracks, me against the racks, me. Yeah. And he just got his, he became pay officer first class that year. That was his. That after they had that little haze thing going on. You know what happened back in the background. Well, it's like it's like college. Come on. Well, he just got it, and man, I got my ass handed to me in that room. He goes, "And you say you want to be a CB?" And I looked at him and like, "Yeah, I'm gonna stand back up because we don't know how to quit. You're gonna quit before I do." And it was on like Donkey Kong. I think I got thrown into the head. I got dragged from the head. Yeah, you get the point. Yeah.
I've seen a couple of dudes in boot camp make similar mistakes.
Yes, and I told him it was, that was my house, and that was the biggest mistake ever. And I had to stand out in front of the barracks from what was it, 0100 to 0530. With the American flag to prove that I am an American. I'll never forget that. And it was the Americans' house. It was my nation that I'm here to protect. It was, yeah, you get the point. That man was a complete psychopath, but you know something? You gotta respect that motherfucker. You gotta respect them, and you gotta respect each and every one of them.
They had a job to do,
Yeah, they had to break you down. You had to lose that pompous ego attitude to become part of a team. And I had an ego in 3/4. I mean, I knew how good I was. And so, that rate and that
You can't make your bed in boot camp with people screaming and yelling at you when you're all tired and taxed. They don't need you in the fleet.
Do you remember eating chow?
I do.
I don't remember chow.
I can remember chow because I did boot camp differently, dude. So I was a divisional yeoman. I didn't run around with the company. So the company would go to class and do training, right? I didn't go with the company. I stayed in the division, and we ran the division. When I got to boot camp, they gave me a job. They didn't train me. I'm serious. They gave me a job. I became a divisional yeoman. I was in charge. I worked under the division officer, who was a female chief bosun's mate that was half my height and would have ripped my legs out from under me and shoved them down my throat.
Was she cute? No.
No. She was a chief female's bosun's mate.
You already know what she... Look. She'd be like, "Come here. I need to talk with you." No! Don't talk to me, please.
Yeah. Throw me a line.
I'm gonna throw you a line. Just can you go over there?
But yeah, she was tough as nails, and I worked under her, and basically whatever she said was like one of those from
It was
her
from
lips
God.
to God's ears, and hurry up. Like she was not a nice person in the slightest. She was very mean to me.
Well, I have. In my last week of boot camp, I had the discovery of there was these guys that were being kicked out of boot camp. So I had to go over there, and since the
Division
sort of
9.
yes, Division 9, they hated me. Since Payosa the sort of wasn't proud of me after our little encounter, yeah, he had me go clean their heads.
Ah, nice.
Yes, and you know how big Division 9 is. So,
Mm.
but I actually got a chance to see females.
Yep.
That was the only time you really get to see a true female.
Yeah, you're not supposed to look at them, and otherwise they make you start all over again.
Yeah, I know.
Did they have that rule when you were there?
Yes, they did, and I didn't look
Yeah.
at them, but you know how the eyes wander.
Dude, I didn't look at all. When I was in boot camp, I did not look. If there was a female around, I was snap trained. I would look straight up in the sky or straight down at my feet. I was not about to start boot camp all over again.
Oh yeah, a lot of people did start it over again. I remember
You
a
get caught
guy that
looking
was
at a
on.
female. You started boot. It didn't matter if it was you were week 1 or if you were week 8. You got caught looking at a female. They were so happy to be like, guess what? You messed up, and we're gonna make an example of you. They love that stuff.
Oh yeah, and the easiest thing is, hey, first of all, you violated the rules, so we're gonna send you the captain's mast. And if not, guess what? I'm the captain. This is the mast, and guess what you're doing? You're going back to read. Two. We
I
gonna put
remember
you at two.
one of the worst moments I had. I was walking down the main grinder with a buddy of mine. So I was a yeoman. So when I got to go to chow, you asked if I remembered going to chow. I was a yeoman, so I used to go to the walk-in chow hall, not the recruit ones. The chow hall was 4 quadrants. 3 of them were set up for recruits to be funneled in and out, and the 4th one on the backside was for like petty officers and drill instructors and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so that they could go eat without having to sit with the recruits.
Did they eat good
I was
food?
able to go in, walk in and eat in there technically. So I was eating with different people in boot camp. So I could sit in there, and because people were allowed to talk in there, they didn't technically know who I was in there. So I was allowed to talk in chow hall with my crew in that building. So there's pros and cons to everything. So it was, yes, it sucked that I would have to take a test every Friday on a class that I never sat in during the week. So that was challenging.
Right.
But I also was able to talk during lunch and take lunch when I wanted, so to say, like a businessman in a working shift, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I would forget who I was and where my place was, right? So one time I was walking back from the chow hall with one of the guys on my crew, and we're bullshitting on the grinder. And all of a sudden this car comes rolling up, puts the window down, starts screaming and yelling at us, what division are you from, recruit? And I start sounding off, I'm Company 139, Division 2, my commanding officer is blah, blah, blah. And he tells me that I'm now obligated to go back and tell my division officer, because I think this was like a Sunday, so my company commander wasn't around, so we just had a division officer. He goes, I want you to go back and tell your division officer that you just got caught jack-jarring on the grinder by the CDO of the base.
No!
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No. You know the Joe, man. So I'm like,
Did you really
I don't
do
even
it?
know if this guy's lying, or I don't know. I don't know if it's the CDO of the base or not. I don't know, but I know that I was just directed to do that. Because if it is, I need to do that fast.
Oh my God. Did you do it?
It was. Oh yeah, I went right back immediately, dude. I mean, I'll rip the Band-Aid off. You want to throw blows? Let's just do this. Let's just get it over with. I'm not one of these people to bow down or back up or anything like that. I made my bed. I was ready. I'm like, all right, here we go. I went right back to Division 2. My sister company's company commander was the division officer for the day. And he already hated my guts because I was a yeoman, and when I had my yeoman armband on, these guys couldn't mess with me. They would have to wait for me to be off duty. When I had the armband on, I outranked my company commander, and the company commander staff, because I worked for the division officer, and I delegated orders from her to them. So if I had the armband on, I outranked my company commander. If I didn't have the armband on, he was looking for me.
Yeah. So you
So
basically were
so was his
ducking.
buddy, my sister company commander, right? So I had to go back to the compartment. He was giving a company commander's like general quarters. So he had his whole complement of his company up front. He's giving them instruction. And I had to come in and give him this notification. Like, pardon me, petty officer, I need to interrupt your instruction because it is this recruit's duty to inform you that I just got caught jackjawing on the main grinder by the CDO of the base.
Oh my God.
So it's basically like sticking a hand grenade in his head and watching his head explode.
Hey, hold on. We got a question. Ramona asks, are they aliens, many, and do they claim dominion over the earth? And are we just pets or collateral damage in the ultimate battle? Many meanings, different species that claim dominion over us.
I would imagine it's no different. It's a micro and macro. We see the same thing right now. How many different factions are fighting over for your attention, your spirit, your money, your time? There's no difference. It's just, welcome to the problem is bigger than anybody's ever told you, Ramona. There's bigger factions and there's bigger games and there's bigger rackets. The limits to the problem are not bounded by the spherical shape of this planet.
Amen to that.
It keeps on going.
All right, so our time is almost up. The next show's about to
Aye.
come in, and I'm dying here laughing because my brother's here, and he's got me just, man, man. I went through hell with this sort of, man. I ain't gonna lie.
It was a good chat.
He's a good guy. He just gave me the ultimate PTSD moment. I might not be able to sleep well tonight again.
Try to do some push-ups, see if you can make it rain in your house.
You know something? I actually tried that when I was younger. I wanted to see if I can make it rain in my garage. And
Not with one person.
no, it's not good with one person, but I just sort of want to see it rain just me, in the head. Oh yeah, yeah.
I do it in the closet.
You know how many hours that was? Okay, we're gonna let that go. Give us the information, bro, because I'm done.
You got it. Absolutely, folks. If you want to follow what I got going on, my name is Eric J. Hecker. I have Deciphering My Experience on YouTube and also on MeWe. I do have a Patreon and a PayPal if you want to give support there. And if you're interested in CBD products, you can take a look in the links on any of my YouTube videos. There's some high quality stuff there. There's no reason for you to be unhealthy when you can be healthy. I use CBD, and so can you.
Oh my
But
God!
follow me on Deciphering My Experience because I enjoy chatting with folks, and let's bring some new truth to the world. And as always, thank you for coming to the Global Enlightenment Radio Network, where there are shining lights on shadows and all kinds of fun things.
Hey, I just want people to know that, I'm doing a slow transition of people over to Mega and what is the name of this damn thing? Mega Book and MeWe, because I'm moving myself because I don't like to be bonded by people saying that I cannot speak whatever the hell I want to say.
Yeah,
so
that blows my mind.
yeah.
You need to get away from these platforms that compress speech and vote with your dollar, folks. If you're not with a platform that promotes free speech, you need to run for the hills, because if you're part of the problem if you're promoting that at this stage of the game. You've been forewarned.
Yeah, that's the truth. Well, everybody,
platforms, get aligned.
or we're gonna send Petty also disorder after you. All right, everybody. Good night. Good night, everybody. Come on.